I don't even, in some ways, I don't want to dissuade them. You know, I don't want to go, oh, you'll see, it's all shit. You know? I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. But in fact, they face issues, even at their age, where they may wonder whether they're being stopped or held back or infantilized, and they think it's about them, and it's really not. It's happening to every other girl. And the boys may feel like, oh, you know, I'm always getting my balls busted about this and that, or being called a fag because I was emotional, or because I had something to say, or because I was a little intellectual about something, and they don't realize that's happening to all of them. And so it's almost, I'm sure as a teacher, you realize you're constantly in that place of hoping that you're able to seize a moment when it's happening in front of you, because that's when it's the most real to them, is when something presents itself. And you're like, oh my God, teaching moment. Time to pull that out. And what you were asking about orgasm, this is something I want to write more about because I feel a rant brewing. When I was part of the early contemporary women's movement, there was this sense that we were finally getting our hands on information. I mean, you had Masters and Johnson, you had the Height Report, you had, all this stuff was coming to light. The word clitoris, you know, came into, you know, the world, into vocabulary. And it was the sense of, oh, that's wonderful, we're just going to hand out all this information, and then everybody will be on the same page. You know, you won't be able to say, oh, I didn't know that this was my elbow anymore. You know, we will move on. And yet, because of the American Puritanism that we live in, information is continually suppressed and thwarted. And my God, after the early days of AIDS, this return to abstinence and this glorification of romance, uber alles, you know, harlequin romance, and that sexual pleasure is somehow demeaning and stupid and shouldn't be anyone's first priority. In fact, I get letters today from people saying, oh, Susie Bryan, I'm so sick of you. You insist that women have orgasms. Well, I'm not going to have one. What do you think about that? I am asexual. We are an oppressed minority. You know, I'm like, well, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. I am not coming over to your house to give you an orgasm. Believe me, you can just toddle off with your non-orgasm, have a wonderful time. But it also pained me. I was like, since when did the idea of sisterly education become a dictate? Even though people say, you know, the internet, of course, it has made a huge difference. But it's just interesting that when you have these issues of lack of education, lack of democracy, the elitism, the role of religion, the power that kind of brainwashing and narrowing and constricting plays is outrageous. I definitely feel like I'm backwards. When I've been interviewing young college and high school audiences since the early 80s, so I mean, how many years is that? 30 years or something? And I would always do a quick sex survey of all the young people, and I would say, you know, have you ever had an orgasm? Do you masturbate? That was two of the questions. And the boys would always laugh, like, duh. And the girls would give them mean looks, you know, like, well, as a matter of fact, I do, you know, and yes. And it was like this accomplishment, you know, like, God damn it, yes, I do come, I know how to come. I can make myself come. And I would collect all the cards and we'd run the statistics. And in this age group, at the kind of schools I was visiting, it was pretty steady for many years at about 18 to 20% of young women said, I don't have orgasms, I don't masturbate. And most of the ones in college had had partner sex at that point. Now, if I go to a university,